operations of the jail. If this study continues, I suggest exploring the financial feasibility of the county administrator taking those responsibilities. Thank you.
I kind of consider this analogous to when the county privatizes public works. They had a company come in, they looked at it. Here's what we can do it for. You know, here's the standards we want you to hold. I don't mind looking at anything. I'm not opposed to looking. That doesn't mean support it, but I'd like to at least know, you know, what's out there.
I don't want to spend a lot of money doing it.
I don't want to spend any money.
I don't want to spend any money.
Well, but you can't do that. If we do what's been proposed, then what I'm hearing is that we're going to have to pay the attorney her time. We're going to have to pay. I mean, staff. When staff works, that's money. And if we, I mean, they're not sitting around over there waiting for something to do. And if we give them this to do, then that's money.
I think
because they're not doing something else that may be more productive or productive. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Merritt.
You're basically just asking them to, if the sheriff's department asks for whatever information to give it to them so they can be accurate. How many calls, you know, whatever.
Well, I anticipate there being, I mean, there's going to have to be review. The county attorney's going to have to say, this is what you legally are obligated to do. So that when the sheriff's department says, I want to not do X, she will say, oh, that's okay, or no, you have to do X. That's one of the things that have to, that's part of this. With some of the numbers that are being discussed right now for the cutting, I've heard different people in the community talk about, if someone can cut $1 million, it'll be great. But I'm not sure how you cut $1 million. So that's why I want to make sure that we have that input coming in from our staff when this process is going on. And again, there's a lot going into this beyond this also. I mean, I just anticipate there being, this is just the start of the conversation. I just want to see what comes back. And I want to make sure that it reflects our staff's views as well as the sheriff's department's.
If it's the board's will, I'm happy to answer those kinds of questions without any charge. It's just a more involved project, which I don't think is what we're talking about, where there would be extra charges, and I don't think that's going to happen here. I do think there's a lot of subject matter expertise that we may not be able to offer that could be valuable if you seriously consider this. Meaning, I think you would get some additional outside people, not on county staff, not on sheriff, that could help you spot some of these issues, talk about some additional things that you may want to consider before you jump. But that doesn't have to be discussed at this point.
I've studied this quite a bit since I've heard all this. And if we're going to get serious about consolidating, then I want us to consider seriously consolidating under the board. I think that's a real possibility, because if the sheriff can save the money, then why can't the board save the money? We're certainly capable of doing it as well as anybody else is if we consolidate, if that's what we want to do. Now, I know Mr. Russell stood up here probably a year ago and suggested that we consolidate, and then we didn't think it was a very good idea. Now, having thought about it for some time, I'm not so sure that it's not a bad idea, but I need to understand how it'll work. You know, I've got some ideas, and but
you were talking about consolidating fire and EMS, not also
right
law enforcement or other things under us.
Exactly. I'm talking about consolidating fire and EMS under one hat, and then there's a lot of options. It's too lengthy to talk about tonight. We need to do that in a workshop. I think the board needs to understand. I think we need to agree that we want to go forward with consolidation as an option or not. And if we don't, then let's forget about it and let's move on. We'll keep doing business like we've been doing it. But if we agree that consolidation is a good idea, then we need to get serious about how we want to do it.
If the sheriff can, in his study, if he can show us where he can save $300,000, I would ask basically, why hadn't we already saved the $300,000? We shouldn't have to wait until somebody shows us how we can save it, so then to go forward and decide that we will save it.
I want somebody to show me how they're going to do it.
That's what we're asking.
Somebody to show me how they're going to do it.
That's all I'm asking. That's all he's asking, is to let him review the system and then bring to us. We don't have to agree with it. You know, he comes up here and tells us what he thinks and whatever, and how many dollars he's going to save. That's just his opinion and his study. We don't have to agree with it, but we need to at least let him have his go at it and see where we are.
Okay, so you have a motion to repeat your motion.
Right now we have a motion to direct staff to work with the Sheriff's Department as needed to research the study of consolidation efforts of emergency services. Do you want to have a workshop accompanying that when we get the report back? No? Okay.
No, I don't know. I don't know what the board wants to do. I know what I want to do, and I don't know what the rest of the board wants to do. And if I'm fine with, as long as it's limited resources we're going to put to this, I don't want it to end up being the staff doing the study. If we just need the permission of the board to let staff provide some numbers or whatever, then that's fine.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, now he brought this up, so it's his motion. I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, I'm talking about that. I'm also talking about as it's moving forward, have staff be able to work on it as needed, review what's being proposed, at some point say this will work, this won't work, or this is the reason. Staff might be asked the question, well, why do you spend X on this, and I think you can cut it, and then staff can say, well, we need X on this because of this. You know,
Maybe we could discuss, Mr. Stewart, your idea at the next budget workshop.
That's fine. I'm fine with this. This is fine.
Yeah, I'm very reluctant to have a lot of study of this personally, because it is going to be costly, and we get the public always giving us a hard time for more studies and whatever, and whether it's the sheriff initiating it and then us helping him, it just, you know, we've got very few staff and a lot of other important things that I think we need to be working on. If we bring in a top-notch county administrator, that may help address some of these concerns about where do we save money. Because, you know, you bring in a county administrator who knows about managing fire and EMS and whatever, they know what works. If we're gonna ask the sheriff to do a study, then I'm kind of with what our attorney said. We need some content experts to be having input. It's not just, and I'd like somebody to see, are there counties that have consolidated law enforcement, fire, EMS that are functioning well? Are we going to be the test case? And what's the process that's being used in Citrus County? And maybe we should look at how they're going about this kind of analysis.
I would anticipate that information coming back. And what my main goal in doing this is to try and make this a less one-sided document, so that we have something that's more well-rounded coming back to us, which is why I'm asking for staff.
And I understand. I think that point's well taken.
Because there's something coming. Sorry.
Not if we don't ask for it. We haven't asked for it.
I'm going to ask for it.
Well, you can ask for it, but it's not the board asking for it.
There's something being produced already.
That's not my understanding, because staff doesn't feel they have the direction to even provide information.
The Sheriff's Department has started preparing something. So I don't want to get something that's only come from the Sheriff's Department. I would like our staff to be able to provide insight into that document also.
Well, maybe wait until see what the sheriff comes up with, without, just see what they come up with, and then if we want to do our own study, we can do our own study
It
then.
almost sounds like we're talking about the sheriff as if it's our enemy or something. I mean, we're all Wakulla County elected officials and representatives. I don't think it's too far a stretch to ask us to work together, at least to look and see if this, you know, if we don't want to do it, that's fine. If we want to consolidate ourselves, that's fine. But we're all on the same team. I don't want to lose that point.
Well, it sounded that way when it was Scott McDermott working with the sheriff's office to look for synergies. When it's the sheriff's office coming to do a study and to take county departments and consolidate them within the sheriff's office? That doesn't sound like us all working together to me. I'm sorry.
I just thought Tim needed some, he's
Yeah.
been working with Mary Dean, he's been working with Donnie Crum.
I don't want to make it sound like we've been uncooperative with the sheriff's office.
No. So-
When they met with me, they sounded like they wanted us to be this joint participation, and I didn't feel I had that direction. I mean, if they want to do a study, we'll provide them any information that they need, records, anything like that. But if you're talking about sitting and having continual meetings about consolidation and moving forward and where a joint report comes out together, I didn't feel I had that direction. So that's what I was seeking, if that's what you I understand what Alan's trying to do, and I agree with Randy, the comments he just made. So let's move on and get a vote here and see how we go. Any more discussion? All for the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1. And now we'll have, is that all your items?
Commissioner, did you keep your second and then vote against?
Oh, I did second that for discussion. Okay, I withdraw my second then, sorry.
All right.
Same motion?
Is- Okay.